everybody. Welcome back to Radiant Damage Podcast. And we're your Paladin/hosts, Paladin Ashley, Paladin Harley over here, and Cleric Alyssa. And we are going to be talking a little bit about some comic book news and just geeky news today. We're kind of going back to our roots a little bit, I guess, because we haven't really done that as much in a while. We've just mostly been talking about stuff that interests us. So diving in first, the first thing that we're going to talk about today is we are going to discuss the Golden Globes, the fact that Joker did take one home. I do believe that it was Joaquin Phoenix for Best Actor. And so it's kind of exciting because, you know, comic books are getting some more validation now in Hollywood, which is really nice. So what do you think about that? Do you have any thoughts on that, or is that just kind of like, yay, thumbs up, cool?
I mean, cool for comic movies to finally get recognized. I just wish it was something besides the Joker that convinced people.
Yes, yeah, that they had to still
Yeah,
basically.
I'm not a fan of that film.
Yeah.
I think objectively it's a good movie. I just don't like the direction they took. I don't like that it's ignoring everything about comics, but also trying to be a comic movie. That kind of ticks me off.
Yes.
Like, we have to make it dramatic and serious. Well, let me rephrase that. Oh, plenty of comic book stories are dramatic and serious. I just don't like that Todd Phillips' idea of trying that. I just didn't like his idea of a Joker. I don't think you should give the Joker an origin.
Yeah, I think that that's actually part of what makes the Joker cool is that we don't have a specific, like the real story. Nobody really knows where it came from. He's always kept that a secret by changing his story all the time. There's apparently more than one Joker, which is like there's so much mystery enshrouding this character that I think that does really add to the character. I think it does take away a little something. Personally, I completely agree with you. I think that does take a little something away from the character by giving him, here's his definitive backstory. Yeah. And it is frustrating that in order to be taken seriously, that they have to basically make an Oscar bait style movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd Phillips got the remake Taxi Driver and call it Joker. Yeah. No.
Yes, that I've heard that comparison. I think that's very true. I haven't seen The Taxi Driver, but it's such a classic. You know, I know the story beats behind that movie, and it is very similar.
It's got some similarities. So,
he definitely
I haven't seen Taxi Driver in like 10 years, but so.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder what Scorsese thinks about this type of comic book movie. Maybe he'll actually approve of this one.
Well.
Who knows?
Not.
Hey, we have a Jake. Little Jake appeared. Yay! Wrestling in the wild grass. Lily, what are you doing? Hey! Kate, you sound exhausted. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm alright.
You died. Oh, man.
My cat's joining us. Hi.
Here comes the cat.
Hey, Lele. Here's my baby. Here's my baby. Okay, get out of here.
Okay. That's enough love.
Exactly. She got what she wanted. Okay, let me go ahead and see if I can get you split screened and not have anybody cut off, for God's sake. For the love of God. Okay.
No more technical difficulties.
No one move.
Nobody move.
You see how I sprang up as soon as the cat entered the video?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jake, you missed all the fun of setup. You've had a wild ride. Yeah, we were just talking about, just to catch you up a little bit, we were talking about the Joker and its Golden Globe win and the fact that it's kind of stupid that it needed to be sort of an Oscar bait movie in order to be recognized by the Golden Globes as a comic book movie. There still seems to be kind of a bar, you know. So if you have any thoughts on that. Oh, we were also talking about Harley had a good take about the fact that, you know, the Joker having an origin story kind of takes away from his character. Like there's an enigmatic, appeal to him. Like, where did he come from? Who is this crazy person? And so having this origin story as like, this is it, that kind of does take away from the character. What do you think about that? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think, yeah, Joker's a kind of ambiguous character who has like you don't know what his true origin is. I personally accept the Killing Joke origin.
Yeah.
That's the one I would always go to as what makes the most sense to me. So, yeah, I think that is the more popular origin for him, and they did have a few elements in that in the Joker movie.
Yeah.
There's some of it in there, but I do think he's the type of character.
I'm sorry, just to interject real quick. For those who don't know, do you want to explain the Killing Joke's iteration of his backstory, just for our viewers at home who might not know it?
Well, basically, he was like a comedian. He wasn't very good, but he was trying to support his wife and everything, and he got mixed up with the mob and all that. They turned him into the first Red Hood when they were doing different hits and everything, and he ended up. Was it Batman? I think I haven't. It's been a few years since I read it. It was Batman. It was like a rookie Batman. He ran into that knocked him into the vat of chemicals.
I thought it was that. I remember that.
Yeah, it was like a year one kind of scenario.
Yeah.
I remember like a year before the movie came out, I was thinking like, oh, they should have like this Batman cameo. They're gonna do a Killing Joke origin, and like he could get knocked into the vat because that was when no one knew what they were gonna do with the movie. So yeah, just in a nutshell, he's just like a failed comedian trying to make ends meet. Got mixed up with the mob, knocked into the vat of chemicals. There's a little more to it, but.
Yeah, and his wife dies.
His wife died.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty tragic backstory, and who knows, because he often changes his story. So, it could have been a lie, but anyway. So but that is the one that most people. It seems to make the most sense, in comic book terms, anyway, in the terms of the DC universe. So
it's one of my favorite Batman stories. So
the Killing Joke is a great story. I actually saw the movie, the animated one, when they released it in theaters.
It's a little controversial, but
that was
a little.
I heard some people didn't like it, but
there's a little asterisk there, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a slight issue in the movie version.
Yeah.
That people are not cool with.
The thing with Barbara, right?
It wasn't bad, and I understood it, but I mean, it's just, did you have to do that? It's weird, but
it felt stuck in there because they needed another thing for that movie to expand it into a full movie. They needed to stick another plot point into it. So
they picked that one.
Yeah.
It's just weird because he's like this father figure.
Yeah, that's what makes it strange. Is real
so
weird.
I got it. They wanted the emotional pull to it, but I mean, I don't know. It could have just been, oh yeah, this is like my daughter that you shot. It was already there, but whatever.
And then in Batman Beyond, they make reference to the fact that at some point after Dick Grayson left to become Nightwing, Barbara kind of had a crush on Bruce, and they had a thing. I don't know if it was ever reciprocated, but they do make mention of that. So it's not like it hasn't been done before. It's just Killing Joke. They just took it a little further.
You actually see him make out and implied sexy time.
Yes.
Yeah. You see the sexy time as opposed to implied sexy time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and then when Dick came back, Barbara told Bruce that she was pregnant, and he was like, I have to congratulate Bruce. And she's like, he's only been back for 3 months, but I'm like 5 months pregnant. So,
yikes.
So there's that too, but I mean.
Oh yeah.
There's a pupper underneath the table.
It's all comics. It's all comics. It's nothing will ever beat Norman Osborn and Gwen Stacy. So nothing will ever.
Oh God! Ooh.
You can make an argument for Clea and Benjamin Franklin, but that's Doctor Strange territory, so they're already on acid.
Osborn is so for those who don't know, Norman Osborn is he's basically like the Lex Luthor of Spider-Man. Like he's essentially like one Spider-Man's like nemesis. For Spider-Man has a lot of them, but like that's like kind of the big one. So Norman Osborn, he has like this vendetta against Spider-Man, et cetera, et cetera. And it's his chemical company that had the radioactive spider that bit Spider-Man. And Gwen Stacy was like an intern there. Gwen Stacy is one of Spider-Man's most pivotal love interests, right? So I do remember that there was a point at which I heard that they kind of tried to shoehorn those two together in a romantic sense, which if you know the age gap between them,
there's a big
is
one.
especially weird. Not just the personalities, but the personalities makes it way worse. Like even it was already creepy. It was already weird.
Picture
I don't even think technically it was a romance. I think it was just.
Picture that
Well,
she would have been
you know,
like maybe 20, and this is Peter Parker's best friend's dad. So,
Yeah.
See,
Yeah. Yep, he's the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Villain persona. Yeah, that's super creepy, and definitely it seems like maybe they were just trying to go for shock at that point.
Yep. Which is why most people tend to just forget it now ever happened. They've kind of slowly retconned it out of existence. So they're like, we made a mistake. That's probably not a good idea.
there's been a few of those that they've done.
Oh, yeah.
In real life, yeah.
Comics.
Nice that they can just hit the reset on comics. It's like it's pretty easy for them to retcon because the suspension of disbelief is pretty high. So yeah, that does give them more to work with. So yeah, that's actually a very good point. I did forget about that in the Killing Joke. Other than that, though, I do feel like it was a really great, like almost shot for shot. In some scenes, it was shot for shot from the comics, which was really cool to see. But yeah, I do think that it's sad that like, and so that Joker iteration is really good. I do think that it's sad that like that in order for comic book movies to be recognized, that they do have to go through these hoops and sort of like be crafted a certain way. Kind of lame, but yeah, I think we can all agree. Is there anything else that y'all thought from the Golden Globes that was interesting to talk about?
Gervais's monologue's always funny. So
Yeah.
I mean, I know people didn't exactly appreciate it, but it was funny. I laughed.
Who cares?
I laughed all 3 times.
Yeah, I think this is just like what his 4th time hosting. Like you don't expect this at this point. He just shits on everything.
Yeah. So did you have a thought on that?
The only thing I saw about it has nothing to do with 30 things, but it's like everyone gets all dressed up and it's really like a lot of like suits and everything. And then there's Jason Momoa in a tank top.
Yeah, he took it off at some point.
That's great.
That's amazing.
But apparently he had a jacket, but his wife got cold. And so I thought that was really cute too. But of course he had a tank top up underneath because of course
he was ready. He probably even knew it was cold, and he's like, this is gonna be perfect.
Hey man, you style however you want. So
you just can't deprive the world of the guns. Seeing himself, like there's just no.
To be fair.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the real humanitarian crisis. Anyway, so
give the people what they want. So.
Exactly. So yeah, I did think that personally, okay, this is me. I thought I understand where Ricky Gervais is coming from in calling out all the Hollywood elite and everything. I think he was really, really harsh, and I get that some people need that, but I don't think he addressed the entire room, and not everyone there is the kind of person that he was calling out, and I think that's unfair. I think he probably should have, and I know I might get crap for this, for whatever, I don't care, but he probably should have specified, like, not all of you, because he said that several times, all of you, you know what I mean? If if ISIS was gonna have a casting call or something, like, what was that he said about ISIS? Yeah. He said something like it was definitely really really harsh. Anyway, so yeah, it was pretty harsh, but I do think some people, and maybe a lot, needed to hear it for sure, that they're not doing enough, because there is a huge class divide between us and celebrities, and there's a lot more that they can do to improve the world. So I do like that he called them out, but I don't necessarily agree with the way that he did it. So that's just something that I am
Understandable.
Yeah. So anyway,
And it's not like it stopped anybody from making a speech if they wanted to. So
yeah. Wait,
I mean, Patricia Arquette, Michelle Williams, they both had very
exactly
political speeches, so they didn't really care.
They both got their points across.
No, right? I just like the parts where I've seen gifs of people's reactions to listening to him.
Yeah, Tom
I think
Hanks.
Tom Hanks. I was like, I like to think he would not be a part of the people he should be talking to.
No.
Like, he's fine. He hasn't. I can't think of a thing he's done.
Yeah.
But I hope there's has. Oh gosh.
He's America's dad. He's America's
dad.
Yeah.
But I loved that. I didn't actually see anything of that except like little hints.
Yeah.
But I liked seeing the gifs of people's reactions to it. So that was little wholesome take for me.
Yeah.
And
maybe I would have felt different if I heard the whole thing.
They knew what they were getting. I mean, they knew who Ricky Gervais is. They asked him to do it 5 times. They know what he's going to do, so they know they need the ratings. Obviously, I know people don't really take the Golden Globes as seriously as they take the Oscars. So they need the ratings, obviously. So I mean, they knew what they were doing.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's a good point. And he definitely got them ratings. I never look into the Golden Globes. I don't even know when they happen. I mean, I didn't announce you. You know what I mean?
I forgot till the night it was coming on.
I just enjoy award season in general. I mean, I watched it last weekend, but nobody really takes the Golden Globes seriously. Not like the Oscars, so.
Shit, sorry. That's my bad. Yeah.
I thought it was set up again.
Yeah, I think that the Oscars definitely are more, which is funny because it's kind of ironic to me because I think that they're the ones that are more corrupt too, in a sense, probably because everyone takes them seriously, and so it's like, since everyone takes them so seriously, they seem to be the most rigged, It's definitely really. It's a weird system. There's a lot of campaigning. It's basically like the presidency. Like these movies actually have campaigns that they behind the scenes they campaign their movie. They schmooze these critics that are Golden Globes that are a part of the not Golden Globes that are a part of the Academy, and they schmooze them. They basically they buy all sorts of essentially like the ones with the most money do tend to do better at the Oscars. Oftentimes use that campaign money. They have a budget for that to campaign their movie. And it's not
shouldn't be involved in things that require voting or critiquing.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like a lot of the Academy consists of old white men who don't know anything about movies that are actually really popular. Like they probably never saw the Avengers, or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so they're only going to know about the movies that are campaigned to them. Usually, they're only going to know about these movies that are going to spend the money to schmooze them, and that's basically why they win. So,
and some Academy voters don't even watch the younger based movies. They don't even watch superhero movies. They don't watch. Like if it's targeted towards teens, some Academy voters just will not watch it. So there's already bias.
It's the same with like horror and comedy as well. So
horror movies especially.
I mean, comedy gets a little bit more because I know Bridesmaids got nominated for what was it, screenplay, and I think I want to say Melissa McCarthy got nominated for it. I think, don't quote me on that, but it did get a few nominations. So sometimes a little more than horror does. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely horror is not very well appreciated. And to be fair, most of the time horror is going more for entertainment, and that's not usually considered art, which I think is silly, but anyway, that's a whole different stage I could go on.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting because my aunt is part of the Academy, and so she gets these movies in advance a lot of times, and I know for a fact that she does not doesn't watch all these movies. Like she has a whole bunch of these movies that say for your consideration, and they mean for the Oscars. They send them in advance to members of the Academy so that they can watch them in advance. But most of them are not going to because, let's be honest, if they're a part of the Academy, they probably very few of them are interested in critiquing movies. That's not really usually, if they're a part of the Academy, they're usually actors or a part of the industry, and they're not interested in critiquing movies. They're interested in being a part of it, or they're retired and they just don't really care. So yeah, exactly. So
I mean, yikes.
yeah, very, very yikes. Anyway, so any final thoughts on the awards and all of this?
Well, I will say that Joker, because a lot of people, I feel like I expected it to get nominated for this stuff because it's more, I don't want to use the term artsy, but I will use the term artsy.
It is
Just
artsy.
Artsier than like a Avengers movie. And
Yeah.
it's supposed to be like that, so it's not it's a better movie. It's just that it's that type of movie that would get nominated, whereas Avengers is that event film kind of thing.
Yes.
So it makes sense that Joker does get nominated. I expected it. I expected to be a Best Picture nomination. I expect probably screenplay, Joaquin Phoenix. I expected, so
Yeah,
it's
sure.
fine. Yeah,
It's
just
fine.
I mean, the downside of that, then you have the fanboys who will
Mhm.
use that to their advantage and say, "Ha,
Yeah.
see, Marvel sucks." So that's the only downside to it.
It's barely a comic book movie. I haven't even
It
seen
is.
it. It's
Exactly.
basically
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah, it
barely.
is.
Again,
Yeah.
they just use names and places. That's and
It's
Yeah. I mean,
really
they.
it's a well-made dramatic fan fiction of Joker. Like it's not actually
Yeah.
the Joker. It's like some
no.
fans
Again,
fiction.
a fundamental misunderstanding of a character. You don't give a
They.
character who has ambiguous origins an origin story and say that's the origin story.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And they made him more sympathetic as a character, and I think that's probably a weird choice to do because the
Yeah.
Joker is definitively not a good. I mean, like he's not a good person. He's not someone you should relate with. The only people that I've seen relate with the Joker are usually not the most neurotypical. They're not normally decent people, like people who actually relate with the Joker. I'm sorry if you relate with the Joker as in like you think, oh yeah, I'm totally like this dude. You're a crazy person. That's a crazy thing.
I mean, you're missing the point of his
You're
creation if you
missing the
relate.
point. If you relate to him and if you idolize him,
I think
you're
idolize.
you're a weirdo. Yeah, you're
there's a-
not a
and
good
there's a-
person.
And there's a difference I think that gets lost between relating and idolizing and liking.
Yeah.
Like you can like the Joker as much as you want. I mean, as a character himself. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But
just
understand he's bad.
Yeah.
yeah.
think
You
that
can like
very much,
villains.
And you can relate with aspects of villains. You can relate with aspects of characters that aren't good, but I'm talking about like people, like incels, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
You know, where they just want to watch the world burn, that whole thing, you know, that
yeah.
happens a lot. I see that all.
If you start modeling your life after the Joker, you might have some issues. Just saying.
Yeah.
Like when I see
Yeah.
somebody dancing ballet in a bathroom, that's you
Yeah.
gotta leave it. So
Yeah. Yeah, he did that in the movie.
Oh.
yeah.
Okay. He danced a lot in that
It's funny because I was watching. I've been marathoning like Hollywood Reporter roundtables where they get like a bunch of directors or writers or actors, and one of them it was like a bunch of directors like Scorsese, Greta Gerwig, Todd Phillips, and it was a few others. And Todd Phillips was talking about that scene, and they were like trying to figure it out, like what to do with it, and that was like really on a whim. Like they just sort of he played like his what was it the music person who just want to go and go. She would send him clips from a score that she was putting together, and he played it from his phone to Joaquin, and Joaquin just started dancing. And they were like, "Okay, let's film this," and that's what that was. So it was like an impromptu thing.
I mean,
Just
improv improv usually does really well in movies. I mean, because the actor is very authentically just the character. There's no middleman writing anything. It's just the actor being that character. So a lot of times that does very well. And it certainly was memorable. I didn't see the movie, but I've seen the clip. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. If you see the movie, it was definitely memorable because he had just capped a few dudes right before
yeah.
that. So yeah,
It comes after a pivotal moment, so it
yeah,
was,
it was very strange, but whatever.
yeah.
Okay,
the thing
Todd
I mean,
Phillips.
like,
this
I
Joker.
just think,
Go
go ahead,
ahead.
Ashley.
Oh,
I was just say, I'll just repeat it. Like technically and production wise, the movie is very good. Like
Yeah,
I understand it should win for like production design, cinematography, especially stuff like that. But I just
objectively speaking.
yeah. Just fundamentally, I just disagree with the movie. So
yeah. Well, the Joker that I love, honestly, because I do love the character. I think he's such a fantastic villain, just absolutely amazing villain, and I think that's why he's been so iconic and withstood the test of time. The comic book characters which have withstood the test of time got to be pretty good characters, right? I mean, for us to still be talking about them and wanting to buy merch of them. So the Joker that I like the best is obviously Mark Hamill's iteration. I think in terms of what we've seen on screen. I think he's done a really good job of capturing the clown aspect and the murderer aspect, in equal measure. And I think that's the Joker. And this Joker was a lot more like an incel. He was very,
yeah,
he was just awkward. He had, he was abused. He had an actual condition where he couldn't stop from laughing, and he had to carry around a card. Like he was actually he had a disability. I mean, that's, it's much too humanized to me, you know what I mean, to
yeah.
be a good villain, to be the Joker. I mean, not to be a good villain. I'm going to say to be that villain,
Mhm.
specifically. So yeah, just a little bit too much humanity pumped into that
You're,
character for
you're
it to
too
win.
much root for the Joker. So,
Yeah, I don't want to root for the Joker. So,
you shouldn't be rooting for
don't
the
make me do
Joker.
that.
You should be appalled by what he does.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, let's go ahead and switch on over to our next topic. So I don't know if you guys are interested in talking a little bit about the like any specific trailer, or because I was definitely going to give my thoughts on the Birds of Prey trailer. Is there another trailer that y'all would like to go ahead and give your thoughts on? I know there were several that dropped recently, so feel free to bring those up and share your thoughts.
I'll go ahead and get my X-Men excitement out the way. Since this is the last one, I might as well get it out. The one X-Men movie I've been the most looking forward to, and it took the longest to come out.
It
Which is
did. It was back.
which finally got a decent trailer, or a better trailer than the first one that actually shows what the movie's about. The directors already came out and said the official version of the movie that's getting released is my version of the movie after 4 years of tinkering with it. They're like, because there was whole thing of reshoots over and over again, and Fox wanted to do reshoots because they hired Josh Boone and he wanted to make a horror X-Men film, so he did. But then, according to conflicting reports from
Yeah.
test, they wanted more horror added to it. Or there was conflicting reports about they wanted less or more. They wanted more action, stuff like that. So Fox was going to do reshoots, but Maisie Williams was filming Game of Thrones, so they also had to wait on her. So that's another reason it got delayed. Then they just didn't even do reshoots. Once the Disney Fox merger all that started, they stopped everything they were doing until that finished. And now, what was it? I guess a year later now, they finally released the movie, and it's the actual finished cut of the movie they had in the beginning. So, anyway, I'm still excited for it. It's awesome. Magic's in it. She's got a dope sword.
Nice.
Any other thoughts? Anybody else? If you watched it, so.
I feel like a giant mutant bear that is Demon Bear is horrific enough. Is that and then Daniel Moonstar, which she can do. That's that is enough. I feel like. I mean, I don't know. I think that what did they do? They watched. What was it? Was it Deadpool? And they wanted to make it R-rated. Was that what it was? And they wanted to make it scarier.
They wanted the Deadpool effect, but Josh Boone
but it's
wanted
like
13. Like he
Deadpool.
wanted to tell the studio, no, keep it PG-13. You want people to see this movie? What are you doing?
Deadpool is very in a league of his own. Whether
Yeah.
that's good or bad is up for debate. But it's like you don't have to emulate that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine the way it was. We could have had this movie 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Literally 3 years ago.
Could have had it 3 years ago, but at least now they're giving it a shot. At least somebody new Disney Fox regime was like, just release the movie, please. It's a shame to waste all these people's talent and not release a film that's like looks pretty good actually. Surprising to everyone but me, apparently, I guess. So
Yeah, I actually haven't seen the trailer but that's because I don't like horror. I'm going to go ahead and say, I think I've said this on the podcast before. I'm not a fan of horror. I don't like that genre personally. It's weird to me that I like The Witcher at all because that's very much a fantasy horror. But I do. But I think it's because that's monsters, and I can deal with monsters. But when it comes to like psychological stuff, or anything like ghosts or anything spiritual, that's just too much for me. So I definitely give props to the storytellers. I think that sounds like such a cool story. My husband already thinks he knows what the twist is going to be and all this, and and I'm pretty sure you guys do too. Anybody who knows the comics knows pretty much. Yes. I don't know what y'all are talking about. That's okay. Yeah, you're good.
I want to ask what it is. That's what I was waiting for.
You're good. Yeah, New Mutants is basically, well, Harley, since you have the hype, you should get to explain. Yes.
New Mutants is well, let's see. I got to go into my brain and separate and explain this, right? So New Mutants is based on, obviously, the New Mutants, a group of younger mutants who all got together to take on one of their members. Or Jake, you might have to help me out here. It's been a little while, but they are X-Men. Magic, the girl I mentioned earlier, Ileana Rasputin, is Colossus's younger sister. She's got a whole crazy backstory, as all X-Men do. But basically, this group kind of got together and formed because one of them was being tormented by, as Jake mentioned, the Demon Bear, which is an entity that was stalking. Which one is it, Jake?
Was it Daniel Moonstar?
Yeah, there's Moon. Yeah.
Pretty sure, I would have to be.
Yeah. Because I think they're using her abilities to kind of fuck with them in the movie.
Danielle Moonstar, for anyone who doesn't know, she has dream abilities. She has dream capabilities. Isn't that right? Like, that's still what they're going with, right? She was in X-Men Evolution. She was featured. She was Native American, I believe. She entered into the dream of Kurt or something, right? Wasn't it Kurt?
I think she got brought in to help Kurt. Like, and he was having nightmares or something. Like, and he was getting stuck when he was teleporting. And like, that's a different episode. But I think you're right.
Yeah, she can put frightening images and stuff. I think so.
Yes.
That's part of her abilities. Like she has other things.
Is it a X-Men movie or is it an X-Men movie with horror highlights? Or are they trying to go a horror movie?
I think X-Men with horror highlights, definitely. It's not a straight horror movie. It's just X-Men, but they're giving it a horror. Like it's all the characters in a mental asylum.
What's
it called?
New Mutants. That team specifically, they are.
I kept thinking it was the description y'all were making.
They are mutants, and some of them have been X-Men themselves. It's just I think that particular team, they just wanted to do a bit of more of a horror take in the comics with them because they had some stuff there to use for that. So
I'm not.
I like monster lore and I like jump scares, but just because there's a rush about getting scared for a little bit. You know.
Trailer, you'll get a vibe for it. I actually think I think you can handle this movie. I don't think so.
It's not
Watch the trailer and decide for yourself. But all right,
because I saw the first one and I remembered I was like, maybe this isn't for me because they're being so spooky. But
I don't think because I think they're gonna want to appeal to everyone. So I don't imagine they'll make it like the Conjuring level, scary. But
I think that's what happened with Fox. I think they panicked and were like, "Oh, we need to make it more scary." But Josh Boone was like, "No, I made an action horror movie. Like I was gonna make an action X-Men movie with horror elements, not a horror movie. Like he
whenever
was making a pure horror movie."
whenever they say this superhero film is going to be a horror, I don't really take them seriously. Like what Kevin Feige said about Doctor Strange, that whole thing. They said, yeah, this is going to be. They said this is going to be the first horror movie in the MCU. But it's like, no, it's not. You're going to have a few scary images. You're going to have Mephisto and Nightmare looking all scary and demons and stuff. But it's not going to be a horror. So, and that's what Feige recently said. Like, it's going to have, like, horrific elements to it. I mean, Scarlet Witch is probably going to go nuts. And, you know, Nightmare is going to do some stuff. So I don't really expect a straight up horror movie. So yeah, I don't really expect it to be scary.
Especially now that they lost the director who is a horror, you know, from the first one. So you know,
this movie's gone through a lot. So it was supposed to be released 3 years ago, you said? So it's that happens a lot with movies, honestly. But especially since the merger, the Fox Disney merger, that probably put a damper on things. So
about Doctor Strange, the sequel lost its director Scott Derrickson, who was a horror director who also directed the first one, and I'm sure that's where the creative differences came in between him and Marvel, where to make it more horror, and of course, Kevin Feige was like, "No, we can't do that." It's like, all right, fine.
It's really gutsy to argue with Kevin Feige because Kevin Feige is like the wizard of Marvel. Like he's
probably like, all right, man, I get what you're doing. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, people might not like it, but I mean, they're still gonna go see it. I mean, you're gonna complain for 10 months, and then you're gonna go see. Then you're gonna go see it. It's like let's just skip that 10 months for you to get excited. Let's just do that. So
let's skip the bitching of the fandom, please. God Almighty.
Yeah. You know what? One thing I just want to say real quick about like recuts and all of that. I thought it was so funny that you know how Sonic was redone and that ended up being a good thing. Obviously, you know, he looks so much better. It's a better version of him. That's great. But it was really funny because apparently that's why Cats, the musical movie, took so much longer. Your reaction to me.
I still want to see it because I've heard like it's like a journey. It's kind of like people are treating it like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
Where they're like, this is so ridiculous. Let's make it fun.
No, girl, I have to tell you about Cats. Okay, so there's some crazy things. Let me just go real quick, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go on a little tangent about Cats. So the actors actually went to cat school. They had a cat behavioral specialist on set.
And it came out looking like that?
Yes, girl.
Oh,
yes, girl, because they decided to use new technology. Cats, for whatever reason, they decided to use new technology to CGI a fursuit onto everybody instead of just makeup. Yeah. Makeup would have been fine if they had done the.
It would have been a good homage to the actual people who wore cat suits.
The successful version that we already knew.
Or maybe they could even.
You realize how crazy
the plot of Cats.
Yeah. They're trying to go into the style. I didn't know that until I read a thing about it.
They're trying to go to heaven's side. Okay, let me just go ahead real quick. I actually know way too much about Cats, okay, guys? So really quick, I'm going to just share the plot for people who don't know at home. I know you've probably seen a million YouTube videos. Whoever's watching this, you probably have seen it.
I remember Cats from when I was a kid. Like, I remember, I'm still haunted by those, advertisements. I was like, I don't need to see this version.
It's horrifying.
I got enough.
Great, I love it. Okay, so the thing is, Cats, the whole premise of Cats, okay, it was based on a poem by T.S. Eliot, and it's like a fever dream, okay? It's so crazy. So essentially,
fever dream.
He describes these cats. They're called the Jellicles, the Jellicle cats, and the Jellicle cats are a part of essentially a cult where they have to prove themselves as worthy of coming back as a new cat. by being chosen as the Jellicle cat, essentially like the cream of the crop, the best of them is supposed to be chosen, and the one who chooses them is Old Deuteronomy. Old Deuteronomy is like the old wise cat, this time played by Dame Judi Dench in the movie musical. And Old Deuteronomy judges all of them based on, I don't know, their skills or something. One of them does magic, one of them does fake magic. It's really weird. One of them
Their
does
skills or something. Nobody really
and
knows.
it's not explained, but what was it? McCavity does real magic. He teleports, and it's so weird, and nobody explains why. He just all of a sudden there's this teleporting cat. It's so funny. It's played by Idris Elba. It's so funny. And then there's the magical Mr. Mistopheles who does fake magic. It's amazing, you guys. And there's a part where Rebel Wilson's cat saves everyone by actually taking off her cat skin. And it's just like at that point where everybody was like, I'm done with this movie. Like, it's so bad. It's so bad. I love it. I want to see it.
There was an article
Like,
detailing.
I know. It doesn't. No, and the cockroaches are played by people that are
oh,
miniaturized.
yeah,
And
cockroaches.
the
Yeah, she
mice are played
controlled
by
the
people
cockroaches or something like that.
and she bites the heads off them to
Oh,
eat them in the
wow,
movie, which
fun.
is weird because they chose people to play these cockroaches, and they also have mice or rats or whatever that are for some reason the same size rendered as the cockroaches. They can't decide. Every actor apparently couldn't decide how much cat to be. Like everybody had, like a different idea in their head about how cat they're going to be, and Ian McKellen apparently just went all the way. Sir Ian McKellen, who played Gandalf,
Yeah.
just decided to be the most cat.
Hey man, he commits to every role.
It's
He
so
does.
funny. Oh my god! I have to.
Gandalf, Magneto, a cat, person.
There's an article where people shared their stories that they went to see it while extremely high.
I was going to bring that up.
Like there's a couple girls. There were a couple girls who took like an edible before going, but they didn't feel anything. So then they smoked as well, and then went to see it, and then they just were just out of their minds the whole time.
Oh my god!
I saw one story of somebody who didn't even finish the movie. Like they were high and couldn't even finish the movie. I think they said they walked out like an hour in.
But I feel like that is how it should be. I feel like that's how it should be watched, though. Like, that is probably how it should be.
Yeah.
I see people make pretty funny posts when they were sober watching it.
I
though.
know.
I
That's
feel
the
like
thing. It's like
yeah.
I've heard people say the opposite, and like personally, I'm not into mind altering at all. So like that's not my jam. But I've heard people say like don't do anything before seeing this movie because it's already like an acid trip, and you're just gonna make yourself freak out. So like,
yeah, it ruined people's eyes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Someone made it while they were high. But you should watch it sober.
Yeah, it's. I don't advise it. I don't do drugs, kids. Anyone watching?
You're not advertising that. No.
You can have a glass of
responsible actions. Do what you want.
Yeah, so anyway, I have to see that movie. When I do, I'll probably post a review for you guys. I don't know.
Oh, please do. Oh.
We have to see it together and then post a review together. That would be so fun. We can make fun of it. Oh my god, that'd be fantastic. Let's do it. Okay, so that's
it might be a new favorite movie. I mean, it seems like it's one of those where I understand what I'm getting into when I go in.
Yeah.
And that'll make me kind of like it. Like,
yeah.
Ironically, but also truly.
Yeah, but
I think it's a very specific type of movie like that.
Yes.
Like for a picture show, because I didn't understand why people liked it. I was like, this seems like a bad movie. But I think that was supposed to be that was the point, right? It was kind of ridiculous and sort of bad. Yeah. And that was kind of a part of it. It wasn't bad like The Room.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Room.
Where they're
actually
trying.
The Room.
No, The Room. It's The Room.
Okay. Room is sad. The Room.
Room is an amazing movie with Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Room is great. The Room.
Yes. The Room.
English is hard.
It's a little like that, but yeah.
To be fair, The Room is great. So So Bad is great. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But they're trying to make a good movie is the thing.
Yes.
And with Cats, I think they really were trying to make a good movie as well. So that's the difference. It's like it's really strange.
Beginning, which actually kind of makes it like The Room because he thought he was actually making a really good movie. So that Actually makes it more on par.
Yeah, there's definitely similarities. I'm thinking it was really funny too because like in the press screening, like people going in who were going to report on it early, like critics, actual professional movie critics, at their press screening and stuff of Cats, their early screening, they were actually handing out like wine and like drinks and like trying to get people drunk while they were watching it, like the critics. They never supply things like that, and I think that honestly that might have been a part of the reception.
Was telling.
Yeah, it was like this is weird, guys. So yeah, anyway. Oh yeah, and they were handing out cat headbands too.
Yeah, I remember when that first trailer came out, I couldn't understand what I just watched. Like I just could not like what is this? I just didn't get it.
Yeah, I think Jason Derulo's was the one that really scarred me, like when he winks or something. Whatever he does. Like, that's
I like I the way that we would come to love, the ironic love.
The ironic,
like, this is
like,
weird,
but it's weird.
Yeah.
I love this. I hate it. Yeah.
I think it might have been better if they really didn't do the CGI thing.
I think so
people
too.
would have really appreciated a more respectful rendering of a play.
No, and the worst part, Taylor Swift wasted her talent on this because she actually wrote at least one, if not a couple of songs for this movie. And the one song that she sings for the movie, she wrote for the movie. No, I think it was one that the main white cat sings. But Taylor Swift wrote that song. Yeah, it was that one, and she wrote that song herself. And the thing is, everybody hated it because it actually makes sense. It's the one song in the movie that actually drives the plot forward or has something to do with the plot.
Oh.
And it actually makes sense. And apparently it cuts into the best song in Cats, which is Memory. Everybody knows that's the best song in Cats. And so it like apparently made people really angry because it's part of it. Anyway, so it was actually a really good song, but she wasted it because it was put in Cats. I mean, like,
Wasted on Cats.
Hilarious.
It doesn't make sense. Anyway, it's not supposed to make sense, T Swift. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and move straight on into that Birds of Prey trailer. So I am super hype, obviously, for anything Harley related, but especially Margot Robbie. I think she kills that role. I think she just absolutely nails that role. She really seems to know what's going on in her head. And just really brings her to life in an awesome way. And I'm so excited. From what I've seen, like I saw the most recent trailer and I just loved it. The song is also very appropriate for her. So what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on it?
I haven't gotten to see the most recent trailer. I think I've only seen the snippets. But above the snippets I saw, I loved the just surprise. I really get into just the cinematography and the costume choices. And for this one, I felt like it was a weird thing of like she just broke up with her boyfriend, and she's cutting her hair, and she has a little bit of a new style. And for some reason, I like that. I liked seeing that really well, especially in her like her way,
so over the top.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just like this seems appropriate. So it's like what a villainess would do during that scenario, and specifically a villainess like Harley, and seeing all these other ladies, and it just seems like it's going to be real neat.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah. Go ahead, guys. Feel free. I will share more of my thoughts in a minute.
I was kind of like a little obscure thing is she had the beaver, and she has like this little beaver sidekick. It was in this Harley Quinn run from like 2016. And she just
from the comics, and so I guess it was in the trailer. I actually didn't see it.
Like it was, I think it was in the car with her. I was like, oh, there's that little beaver thing, and she talks to it and everything. So yeah, that was like a little thing I enjoyed because I was like, nobody really liked the new 52 Harley Quinn comics, but I did, and that was one of the little aspects I thought that was actually kind of funny in that run. So that was a little callback. That was a little fun callback they did.
Oh yeah.
It shows that Margot Robbie really understands the character and tried to add as many of those little details as possible. I mean, in that same run, she rescued like 100 dogs and kept them all on the roof of her apartment complex, and they had to figure out what to do with the waste. So she had a giant catapult built, and she would catapult it all the way across the city, and it would cut to another panel of it hitting like a train. So like those little details, like I want to see some. I mean, they're not gonna do that, but it would be fun to see that.
The hyena. Oh,
Yeah.
you the hyena. Oh my god. You see him in the trailer. You gotta see it. It's really fun. Yeah, I love him. I don't remember. Oh yeah, she named him Bruce after she says after
Bruce
the
Wayne. After that Wayne
the
guy.
hunky Wayne guy.
I love that.
Yeah.
After the hunky Wayne guy.
I love that.
That was
Yes.
great. I love it.
All of the support for that.
Yeah, so his name is Bruce and he's a good boy. Yeah.
I always liked that she had hyenas.
Yes. Yes. Those are hers. They're
Don't know
her
how you would
baby.
tame a hyena. But you still can her. That's fine.
They are actually patriarchal, so her being a lady probably helps.
But yeah, the movie just looks fun. Like everybody looks like they're having a dope time. You get to see Cassandra Cain's in the movie. That's awesome. Never
Yeah,
got to see her in a live action anything Batman. Like Ewan McGregor's awesome. His black mask. Like, he's having a great time. It just looks fun, which is a good thing.
It does.
Sorry, Marvel haters. We like fun sometimes.
It does look like a fun movie. I know, a lot of times DC fanboys are allergic to that word, but I mean, it's
Exactly.
okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if you're excited about,
for a grim story.
I mean, not everyone has to be dark and broody for 90 minutes. I mean, you can do this, and it does look very entertaining.
Yes.
Especially Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is not grim and gritty. Harley Quinn
And
is
she's
fun.
doing roller derby and everything. I mean, they're introducing the Birds of Prey, Black Canary, Huntress. They're doing all of that. Renee Montoya. So there's just a lot of fun elements they seem to be doing in this. So I think they're gonna try to get like some sort of. Well, they did recently. I heard that they delayed Gotham Sirens, which is supposed to be part of it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Honestly, though, I thought it was really funny, and that they decided to show the Black Mask in this trailer. And Brendan actually made a good point. He's like, why they did that is because everyone was complaining that he wasn't wearing the mask. And I just love that quote. I'm gonna quote Joe Starr.
She gave like 3 different shots of him wearing the mask. Literally, it happened like 3 times in the trailer. They're like, putting on the mask. He has the mask in his hand. He's walking with the mask on. Like, we got it.
It was so funny. Joe Starr from Screen Junkies said it so well because Danielle on Screen Junkies was asking about the new Birds of Prey trailer, and she was like, "So, do you think that him finally wearing the black mask does that change anything for you, Joe?" And he's like, "Well, I've never seen a comic book film before, Danielle." So it's like I'm unfamiliar with the trope that they eventually get their comic book accurate costume. And I'm like, "Thank you." It happens every time, and they're never satisfied. They never have any faith that it's going to happen, that they're going to see the comic book iteration of the costume in the movie. It's going to happen. It's fine. Everybody freaks out. It's so weird.
If it does happen, they bitch anyway. So, like, it didn't happen the way they wanted it to happen. So,
exactly.
I think with Birds of Prey is just they might have seen the whole thing. Like, Black Canary's not exactly wearing fishnets and a jacket. She's not going to. I'm sorry, she's not going to do that. That's not practical at all. But whatever.
Like that's such a weird outfit.
That's a weird outfit.
I mean, it's a great costume, but she's not going to wear that.
it works
in real life. That's different.
Yeah.
She has other costumes. It's fine. Huntress, she wasn't wearing her iconic outfit.
Still looks cool.
Harley Quinn isn't looking like a jester. She shouldn't because that's weird in a movie. But
she's crazy, and I think she could have worked that in.
I mean, I'm not too thrilled about her outfit. Like from Suicide Squad, that was kind of I don't know about that. But I mean, she wears a lot of different things. So so I think they're just looking at the whole thing. It's like, why doesn't this look like this? Why doesn't this look like that? Why aren't we seeing all 500 scars on Zace's body. He's like, because he has a shirt on. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Because you can't see them.
Because you don't have X-ray vision. That's a you
Yeah.
problem. The rest of us can
People-
see them just fine.
Because people in the real world don't walk around without their shirt all the time.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
Sure, maybe Jason Momoa, maybe, I don't know. But
what? I
We
missed
missed
something.
something.
Sorry.
We were talking about our X-ray vision
Yeah.
developing properly.
Yes.
yeah.
So what about Jason Momoa?
Yeah, what?
I said normal people don't walk around without a shirt on showing their body parts.
Yeah.
Unless you're somebody like Jason Momoa. Then you can walk around with no shirt on.
Totally fair. Totally fair. And maybe it's probably for the best because Jason Momoa is a gift, but I'm not sure that everyone could say that confidently. But anyway, so all right, awesome. So any other thoughts on the trailer or on people's stupid expectations of comic book accurate costumes?
I think people should enjoy the movie because it's the movie and not the comic. It's like I at this point, who cares? It's like
Also,
people who are going in to like it will probably like it. Like,
Yeah.
Also,
I will probably enjoy the movie. There's no way I will not enjoy some of that movie.
Yeah.
I also know the fact that Harley Quinn isn't traditionally in the Birds of Prey might rub some people the wrong way. But I mean, I feel like that was just.
Margot be made. So,
I
because
feel like
she's
to
in
me,
it, that movie. So,
yeah. I mean, I kind of agree. I kind of wish it would just been called Harley Quinn. I think that would have been perfect. But I mean, featuring the bird, it's the same thing though. It doesn't really.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter because the Birds of Prey are in it, and I expect her to betray them at some point,
Mm.
and then they form their own sort of thing,
Probably.
and then go up against her later on down the line. That's what I'm expecting. So I mean, it all levels out. So
It's crazy. It could very well be. We'll have to see. I kind of hope that she actually doesn't because I know that she's an anti-hero and she can either go either way. So easily it could be that she ends up being like a villain, or it could end up being that she ends up actually emancipated, like, or remade
the thing that
into
gets
a
me,
better.
the thing that gets me is because they wanted to do Birds of Prey and then Gotham Sirens and then Birds of Prey versus the Gotham Sirens, and so Gotham Sirens is basically Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Catwoman. So
Yeah.
I just figured like, okay, they were going to do Gotham Sirens after, then maybe Harley betrays them at some point in this movie, meets Catwoman and Poison Ivy, and then it go up against the Birds of Prey. So that's pretty much what my theory is. That's why.
I do
That would
wonder.
make sense.
I do wonder if
Yeah.
they're going to get into her romance with Ivy because it's canonical.
No,
You
Harley
know,
Quinn.
so-
I mean, Margot. I think Margot did say that they were going to explore that.
Cool. Good.
I
That's
kind of because I kind of feel like a lot of people are disappointed with the Harley Quinn cartoon on DC Universe, that they weren't a thing in that. Like, there are a lot of people who are disappointed because
Yeah, that's
yeah, Poison
R-rated.
Ivy, Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
Poison
obviously-
Ivy.
Same-sex couples have to be R-rated, but even
That's
that's
the
usually the excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
'cause
even that, so like, why not make it?
That's weird.
Because Poison Ivy's in a relationship with Kite Man of all people in that show,
Oh,
and yeah.
And
And so they were like, "Why aren't you putting Harley and Ivy together?" And it's like, I think maybe because they want to do it in live action, which might make a stronger statement. I feel if they do it in live action,
you could do both. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
they can do both. No, I agree, they can do both. I agree, but
oh,
I
no, I
mean,
didn't realize they were going to affect each other.
no, I agree, but I just feel like more people, it would be a broad, like it would have a further reach if that makes sense. I don't have DC
Well,
universe.
just the part of why couldn't they do both?
Yeah.
Like, it's
No,
not
I
just
agree.
not
No, I agree with. I agree with that.
Yeah.
They did drop the ball, and even
Yeah.
Gail Simone was upset about it on
Mhm.
online. So no, I get it. That's
Yeah.
just my theory that they wanted to do it
Oh,
in
yeah.
live action.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I totally get
I
it.
agree.
I think it's
my,
silly.
my theory about that is somebody in the cartoon division was like, nope, can't do that. Somebody who was worried about a sponsor was like, nope, you can't do it in the cartoon.
It's weird though because Titans, I think Macy
Yeah.
Graves is in a relationship with a woman. Like she's married
Yeah.
and has kids, and so it's like if it's a DC Universe thing, that wouldn't make
I
no
know, you would think
sense.
they'd be allowed to do it. So
Jericho is
Yeah.
bisexual in it, so I mean,
Like, it could be the actual network. You know, we're just
That's
not on
sometimes a
board because
thing.
sometimes they come in and say, "Hey, none of that there." You know what I mean? None of that
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, well,
Poison Ivy having a relationship though, that feels with a person
with a person, not a plant.
That's what I was actually about to ask, because there's a plant that I saw in the cartoon.
That's
So
true.
part of me is like, is she in a relationship with a plant? Because she almost hates like everyone except for Harley, which is kind of why she has a relationship with Harley usually, I see, because she likes plants.
More
And
than
Harley
people.
sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Not sure why it's not a plant. I actually
Yeah.
think that would be more believable.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
oh well.
Swamp Thing. I'm surprised that isn't a bigger ship.
Oh yeah.
I could ship, I could weirdly ship that,
I could
because
ship
that would make sense.
Yeah, it would. Absolutely. Both plant people. Sounds good. Go ahead and let them meet.
It would certainly be an interesting relationship. Like
Absolutely.
Swamp Thing
Eventful.
trying to figure her out. Like, what is your thing, lady? You're going a little too far. It's like, I kill people, but you really kill people.
Yeah, that was an odd choice on their part. I think that last thing that we need to talk about then is unfortunately a sad topic. It is the Pokemon topic. I'm not sure if y'all are interested in Pokemon or gaming or what's going on, but real quick, I just wanted to share my thoughts on the Pokemon Sword and Shield paywall. It's essentially a paywall because basically it's an expansion. They said the devs, Game Freak, released a statement like a year or so ago. It was before Pokemon Sword and Shield was actually released, and they said, it was at some point last year, and they said that they were only going to release a limited number of the Pokemon, and that no one could actually fill the decks. And people have called it Dexit, or whatever, really, So, which I think is clever. Good job. But yeah, I thought it was really unfortunate, but I did have a feeling. I still held on hope. I was like, you know what? I bet they could add in later, though. I bet they could add in more later. Turns out they could, and they did, or they're going to, but behind an expansion paywall. So you'd have to actually pay for the expansion for Sword and Shield in order to be able to have an extra 200 Pokemon that were not featured in the original game. The problem with that is that you're paying for Pokemon, and we've never had to do that before. When we already paid for the game, we already shelled out $60 for this here game. That now we're going to have to pay extra for Pokemon that should have already been in this game, that we were expecting to already be in this game. So I understand people being upset. I kind of thought they were being silly when it was originally announced that we weren't going to get the whole Pokedex. It was disappointing, understandably, because gotta catch 'em all is kind of the thing behind Pokemon.
Kind of Pokemon thing,
The actual motto.
It's the motto. It's,
The whole thing is all the Pokemon are there for you to catch. So not behind the paywall. It's like the green pastures of paywall. You got to get there.
And you also, I think, would need a subscription to Pokemon Home in order to store more Pokemon. Take a shot every time I say the word Pokemon in this segment. You will die. Anyway,
So don't do
he's
that.
doing it now.
Dad,
Yes.
don't. You gotta stay alive
Yes,
to help.
Dad. Dad's setting a good example. Okay, so basically, that's disappointing to me. However, when it was first announced, I wasn't actually all that disappointed. I thought it was kind of understandable. They were going with better graphics, more of an expansive Pokemon world than we've had before. Whether or not that's normal for this system, for the Switch, is kind of irrelevant because it's the game developers that we have to think about. Have they ever dealt with a world this big? And the answer is I don't think so. I don't think that they've ever actually dealt with a world that big. So I personally understood the choice. They decided to be a little bit more cautious so that they wouldn't have a bunch of glitches, probably. Their team wanted to make sure that they spent their time really fleshing out the world and making it an immersive experience rather than giving us every single Pokemon. I get it. I respect it. Still disappointed, but not mad like a bunch of people on the internet. This, however, does actually make me kind of mad. So the paywall thing of the expansion, that makes me a little bit mad, especially because I really enjoy collecting Pokemon, and that's one of the things I love about playing the game. I never finished the decks or anything, but I still enjoy doing it. So frustrating. Anyway,
It's kind of the point of the game is it keeps you coming back to it because you wanna catch them all.
exactly. Yes, it does extend the playability. Absolutely.
They knew we
I remember
grew
when
up.
I was a kid, I was playing Pokemon, and that was the whole point.
They know we grew up and have jobs, and so now
Yeah.
they're gonna make us
They're like-
pay for it.
They're like, now
'Cause
they'll
they know-
pay.
It's like, these nerds are 30 and they're still playing this stuff, so let's charge them. Yeah, okay.
Right.
But if they were paying
So
attention, yeah, but if they were paying attention, they would know that our jobs are just for us to survive. Nobody's making
Yeah.
enough money to spend on extra Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
Paywalls are the new toughest gym leaders.
Ooh. Man.
I know. It is sad. This is all sad. But we laugh about it because,
Killing the
American.
Pokemon spirit one paywall at a time.
Just gotta laugh through the pain. It'll pass, hopefully.
True. Laugh, keep going. But
That's millennial way.
Yeah.
it is. It's very American, actually. I realized that when I went to Japan, is that people always like their stereotype of Americans is that we're funny. And I didn't think about it until I was over there, and I was like, you know what? Actually, yeah, we tend to like joke a lot, especially like when we're
Yeah.
sad or uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
It's like our generation isn't one collective depressive episode that we use, and we use humor
really
to get each other. We use humor to get each other through it. It's
Yeah.
just how it is. Yeah,
That's where
it's just
memes
how
come
it is.
That's where memes came from. So,
I mean, we were making World War III memes last week, so I mean that about sums it up.
Sums it out how we deal with tragedy.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Tragedy.
That being said, I am still hoping to get Sword or Shield. I don't really care whichever one has Gardevoir on it. Honestly, I don't really care. If it's both, that's awesome. I'll get probably Shield and Brennan will get Sword. Because I like the legendary for Shield better. But anyway, so that's the thing. I think that basically sums up my thoughts. I feel like I wish they hadn't pulled that move. I'm used to it from a lot of developers, though, these days. I think that video game publishing companies are extremely money hungry, and typically the people who are in charge of making these decisions are not the ones actually developing the games. They're usually corporate, and they're usually very money hungry. So, and they don't actually, most likely they don't even play video games, so they just don't care.
They don't.
Exactly. It's the same with the Academy Awards. It's the same with the Academy with the Oscars, and it's the same thing. But anyway, so same story, different verse. So basically, those are my thoughts. I feel like, other than that, though, I am really looking forward to this year. I still think that despite the world being on fire and everybody going crazy, I think that we still have a lot of great geeky things to look forward to. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to add, maybe so that we can end on a positive note?
American way.
Yeah, the American way. So yeah.
It's the 20s. I mean, you got to bring it back. It's the
Hey.
roaring 20s.
We kept saying that, and by God, you're right. I think we
So
wish
just embrace it.
for the
Got-
20s to come back.
You gotta start calling people old sport.
I
You
mean,
just gotta do it.
the 20s were great. It was 29 when the Depression struck, so we're getting a little early start on the depressing part of the 20s.
Yeah.
I am super okay with us reverting back to 20 speak because it would just be funny. It would be certainly entertaining to talk to people now.
Yeah, I want to develop a transatlantic accent and really go straight into it,
Actually,
Yeah.
Cool cats.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Sea cats
and their
and bee
bee
cats.
Cool
There has to be a guy who just throws giant parties, but they never see him at all. He
Yeah.
has to, he has
You're
to
gonna
do
hear
that.
Gatsby. We're gonna meet at Jake's house. And
Yeah.
like, didn't you see Jake? Nah, he doesn't even come to these parties. He just
No.
throws them.
I throw him, I never appear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, I mean, if you
like
have that,
You may make an appearance one party a year. And even then, people don't even know. They might miss you. You
yeah,
might poke your head out, and then, like Groundhog's Day, you poke your head out, and then you never even see you ever again until like the next year.
And you judge your shadow, and all these other Groundhog references. I'm sorry. Your day goes on loop. Sorry.
If you see Jake at the party, it means you're gonna have good luck this year.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, okay, so we're going to your houses. That sounds great.
Or your name is Tobey Maguire, too.
Ooh, I want to wear a cabbie cap like he did in the movie. That was like my favorite part. Was
Gatsby, this.
yes, let's do this. Okay, so we're gonna make it to 20s, you guys. We decided that's a good decision. We're going to go ahead and make it the 20s, and we're gonna enjoy the 20s just like they did in the 20s, and then we're going to probably enjoy the 30s like they didn't in the 30s. So anyway, that being said, I think that we've got a really good year ahead of us. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you guys so much at home for watching, or wherever the heck you're watching us. Thank you so much for doing that. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you'd like to become knighted in our medieval army, please remember to stab that subscribe button with your sword. And it doesn't matter what sword, we're pretty open. You can use, even if you have a staff, if you're more of a mage, go ahead and just, magic the subscribe. Yeah, mage hand the subscribe button. Perfect. She's a cleric, so she knows. So yeah, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much. Bye.